The girl tries to take an interest in politics, as a result of which her own father sends her to a psychiatric hospital. In the world of crazy women, chaos reigns because no one needs them. Officials and rich people visit the hospital to take women against their will and satisfy their needs without fear of possible consequences. France, late 19th century. Eugénie Clary is a charming girl of noble birth who shows an interest in art, science, and political activities. Eugénie dreams that women will have more rights in society and hopes that she can influence this by changing the attitude of men to this problem. After learning about the funeral of the legendary Victor Hugo, the girl goes to the general farewell and then returns home. During lunch, the older brother Théophile says that he would like to participate in a political debate. Eugénie wants to keep her brother company, but her father is categorically against it, believing that girls should not get involved in French politics. In the evening, Eugénie has an attack, during which they see the spirits of the dead who have long since left this world. The girl safely communicates with them, as she knows how to listen and express her support. She is afraid of seizures because they occur out of control, but tries to use them to their advantage. Upon returning to the bedroom, the girl notices that the light in the lamp has gone out and uses the candle. Hearing strange sounds, Eugénie goes to another room and realizes that these are not annoying ghosts, but Théophile, who has secretly met with his lover. The next morning, the nurse blackmails the guy and promises to tell him his secret if he doesn't help her escape from home. The brother agrees to help and drives his sister to the cafe so that she can relax a little and read educational literature. Once there, the girl notices a young man reading an interesting book. Ernest notices the beauty's gaze on him and assumes that this is a sign of sympathy. A man decides to meet a girl, but in the course of communication he realizes that it was not he who attracted her, but the Book of Spirits in hands. After a short conversation, Ernest presents the book to Eugénie and offers to meet again in a few days. Upon returning home, the girl reads the Book of Spirits and realizes that the other world is not fiction, but reality. She has no mental health problems, and seizures are a phenomenon that people around the globe experience. Trying to stand out from the crowd of modest and shy girls who are not capable of their own thoughts, Eugénie criticizes the guest, considering her too submissive. With subsequent attacks, the girl is no longer afraid and takes the opportunity to communicate with the ghosts of the dead to learn something new. In the evening, in her grandmother's room, Eugénie has another attack, during which she throws things out of the closet and finds a gold jewelry that disappeared almost half a century ago. The old lady is not just shocked by the discovery, but cannot find a reasonable explanation for what happened. Eugénie admits that she talked to her late grandfather, and it was he who told her the secret about the lost jewelry. The next morning, the family prepares for a trip to visit friends, but Eugénie notices only one suitcase containing her belongings. The girl realizes that her brother and father deceived her, but it's too late. Instead of meeting with friends, the family decided to send her to the Pitié-Salpêtrière psychiatric hospital, under the guidance of renowned Professor Jean-Martin Charcot. The father does not regret his decision at all and signs the documents, believing that his daughter needs compulsory treatment. Once in a new and strange place, Eugénie behaves extremely shy and constrained because here she was against her will. Senior nurse Genevieve examines the girl and sends her to the general ward to other women who are considered insane. Once there, Eugénie meets Louise, a very kind and talkative girl who is ready to introduce the new girl to other patients. Everyone suffers because of their own problems and has a reason why they ended up in a psychiatric hospital. Marguerite is a thief who has lost her sanity. Teresa has taken her own husband's life in a fit of anger, and Henrietta is here because of a long-term depression. Louise, like Eugénie, was here by accident and hopes to return to normal life. Some time ago, she told her mother that her stepfather tried to take and span her, but she did not believe her daughter's story and sent her to compulsory medical treatment. The next morning, Louise is whisked out of the general ward before the other women wake up. Professor Charcot invited respected people to demonstrate his innovative methods of treatment. Most of all, he likes hypnosis, which allows him to fully control the patient's will. The professor demonstrates success on Louise, who dutifully follows his commands. At one point, the girl falls to the floor and suffers, experiencing cramps all over her body. The head nurse calms Louise down and helps her recover, after which the girl is visited by Jules, the professor's assistant who promises an early wedding. During her lunch break, Genevieve goes home to be with her father. Dr. Glezis loves his daughter's stories, wanting to know about every interesting case that happens in the walls of the hospital. Back at the workplace, the head nurse meets Eugenie. The girl asks for help, believing that the woman will help her escape from the hospital. Eugenie claims to have been in contact with Genevieve's late sister. The nurse is skeptical about the words of the insane patient, but she gives evidence of facts and details that no one knew, except herself and the deceased sister. In the evening, patients can't sleep and discuss their plans for the future. Someone understands that there is nothing to do in freedom and plans to return to law-breaking and immoral behavior. Others want to enjoy simple things and appreciate freedom, where there is no place for orders and bullying. In the morning, one of the doctors tries to talk to Eugenietto, check her sanity. The girl admits that she has a connection with spirits and reproaches the public for being biased. People communicate with God and believe in higher powers, but they are afraid of the ghosts of the dead, as a result of which they sent her for compulsory treatment. This order of things angers the girl, but the doctor prescribes hydrotherapy, believing that Eugenie is not recovering. A little later, the nurses help the girl undress and send her to the bath with wooden water. To prevent Eugenie from getting out, they cover her with a wooden board, making her to endure pain and humiliation. In the evening, on the way home, Genevieve notices that someone is following her. The woman tries to escape, believing that this is a psychopath, but in fact, the strangers are Theophile. The guy regretted that he helped his father and regrets what happened to his sister. He asks the nurse to give Eugenie a perfume book to demonstrate his love for her. In the evening, Louise goes to bed with a friend to hug and warm her up. At the same time, Genevieve reads the Book of Spirits and realizes that the other world is real. The next morning, the head nurse goes to the church to find help and get good advice, but she does not succeed. Once at work, a woman asks a crazy girl to talk to her deceased sister. Eugenie is ready to help her, provided that the regime of her detention is slightly relaxed. A few days later, the girl makes contact with the deceased nurse's sister, but the blonde does not want to talk, as their father is ill. Genevieve hurries home and is convinced that the deceased told the truth, because her father coughs up deteriorating. The daughter tells her father about the connection with the deceased sister, but he does not believe in this nonsense, relying only on science. Some time later, Eugenie goes to the gynecologist and notices a friend who is also in the hospital block. The girl experienced a seizure during hypnosis, and this led to paralysis of the limbs. Eugenie is shocked by the methods of treatment, and she expresses her displeasure to Professor Charcot, doing it in a rude way. The doctor decides to hide the failure and does not allow himself to be insulted, as a result of which he sentences the girl to be put to sleep and thrown into the punishment cell. Considering that Genevieve is too soft with her, Charcot entrusts the patient to the rude and cruel Jean. In the evening, Eugenie goes to the basement, soaked with the pain and suffering of exhausted patients. The girl experiences fear and begins to panic, with difficulty calming herself. Louise remains disabled, unable to recover from the failed tests, as a result of which other patients begin to take care of her. Eugenie doesn't eat or sleep, but Jane continues to experiment on her. The nurse tortures the girl with an eclipse game and closes the window, leaving the patient in complete darkness. Every day, Jean gives a chance to see the sun and then closes the window again, enjoying Eugenie's screams and helplessness. A few days later, Genevieve visits an exhausted patient and promises to help her, thanking her for saving her father and connecting with her late sister. Soon, Jeanne appears in the basement, dreaming of continuing her bullying and experiments on the psyche of the unfortunate girl. On one of these days, Eugenie hears the ghost of a dead man and realizes that Jean's mother is talking to her. As it turned out, the woman was in the same room and lost her life. She bullied her grandson, and her daughter put her in a psychiatric hospital. After learning that the deceased mother asks for forgiveness, Jeanne does not hold back tears, and then attacks Eugenietto to strangle the unfortunate girl. A little later, The thief clings to the nurse and uses her professional skills to steal the keys. After receiving the key to the cell, Geneviève visits Eugénie and asks her to contact Blondin again. The deceased sister is happy and no longer wants to communicate with her sister because she has found peace and wishes the same to her. After receiving a satisfactory answer, the head nurse decides to help the girl escape from a psychiatric hospital. A little later, she tries to influence Professor Charcot and asks for a reduced sentence because Eugénie is not aggressive and does not pose a threat. At night, the head nurse writes a letter to Théophile and invites to the Mad Women's Ball. Geneviève also leaves a note for Eugénie, let her know the details of the plan and act according to her instructions. The next morning, the crazy beauty is released from solitary confinement. She meets with Louise, who is chained to a chair, and supports her friend. Soon, the women are handed boxes of clothing so that each of them can choose the appropriate outfit. In the evening, distinguished guests appear at the gala ball. Jules ignores Louise, as she is disabled, which offends the girl very much. Théophile also infiltrates the ball and pretends to be an ordinary guest, after which he invites his own sister to dance. Jean follows the couple, but they manage to merge with the crowd and escape from the common room. Men take advantage of crazy women who can't complain about their immoral actions. While the rich people are having fun, Eugénie and her brother escape from the hospital thanks to the possible help of Geneviève. Jean tried to prevent the escape, but her attempts were unsuccessful. Drunk, Jules decides to take advantage of Louise's helplessness and enjoy the time. Henrietta and Teresa burst into one of the rooms after hearing the poor girl's screams. Realizing that this is a terrible person in front of them, the elderly woman does not hold back her emotions and takes Jules' life. Théophile and Eugénie escape safely, and Geneviève locks the gate and sacrifices herself. Sometime later, a happy and free girl writes a letter to her older sister and thanks her for saving her. Geneviève became a patient of her own hospital, but does not regret what happened because she managed to save an innocent girl.